Hey everybody, this is Rustin Rose with Access Entertainment and Metalholic Magazine. Joining us tonight, the amazing Lacey Sturm. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm wonderful. I'm excited to get a chance to talk with you. Congratulations, first off. Your debut solo album, Life Screams, is one of the year's best records. Yeah, you got to be...
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, fans and critics alike have responded so favorably. Were you nervous when you were making it, how people would respond to your return to music?
You know, I didn't have any expectations really. I didn't even think I would ever make music again, actually. and whenever we decided that it would be a good thing to put music out, we did it because we loved it. And if people liked it, we were, that would have been cool. But if they didn't, it would have been okay too, because we really were just doing what we loved, and that was okay. So it was amazing when we got such a great reception. It was amazing.
Yeah, and isn't that the way it's supposed to be anyway? Is you do it for yourself first, and if others love it, that's the bonus.
Yeah, I wish I understood that a little better during my Flyleaf days, because it felt there was a lot more pressure in what we did. We had a lot more people. We had to make sure that they were happy about everything, and this is just us, me and my family working on stuff we loved, and it was cool.
So in that vein, did you feel more freedom to open yourself up with this record than you did previously within the context of your previous work?
Well, in a sense, I did, because in the process was more about trying to pull out what was in my heart rather than to figure out how we can bring all these different visions together and see what comes out of it.
Right.
So for me, this whole project is really, I can stand behind every part of it, and I can answer questions about it. And before, it's like a compromise of a bunch of different visions, and I still, I believe in Flyleaf music and what we did, but it was my own interpretation of things, and my own perspective mixed with a lot of different people. So it's a little different, but it is more freeing and easy when it's just your own vision that other people are trying to come along and support,
Absolutely. So in that vein, nice segue, tell us about Life Screams from your perspective, your vision for the album when you were creating it.
Well, Life Screams, there's a track on the album called the title track, Life Screams, and in the lyrics in that song, I got to write it with a guy named David Hodges, who helped write Evanescence's first record, and I met him through other friends, and he'd always wanted to work with Flyleaf, so when we never got together with friends, so when he heard I was writing music, he was really excited to work with us and contacted us, and we clicked so well. He has a house full of little girls, and his wife was pregnant with another baby when I was there, and she was like a superhero to me. So our family sort of really got along really well, and I thought that was cool. It's like family friendly. I have 2 boys, and it was just cool to see how he worked. But when we wrote Life Screams, the song, it really captured lyrically what I was thinking about, why I wanted to do a record. There's moments where life really speaks to you, and it really teaches you, and unless you stop and pay attention, you might have to go through the same lessons over and over. And so my desire was to capture those moments and put them together, and on the CD, just capture what life was teaching me.
Right. And there has to be an amazing satisfaction in creating this record with your husband, Josh.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and it's challenging at the same time. I've heard lots of people say that about working with your spouse in any capacity, but especially artistically, we do things differently, and we figure out a way that works best when we're writing music. But when we're playing and touring and working together daily, it's interesting, because when you don't work with your spouse, you can sort of pick your battles and be like, well, we're just going to move on, and I'm going to work, and see you later, and it might not be worth it. You might not remember when you get home, but when you work with them every day, all the time, you really have to sort through everything. It's like you have to get right with each other, and it makes it more honest in some ways and more thorough, I think, of a relationship where you just really, you really learn to embrace and compromise and honor each other in deeper ways. So it was good.
Now, you talking about working with others a moment ago, you penned the first single, Impossible, which is a truly uplifting song with your friend Corey Cooper from Skillet. Can you sort of share the story and message behind that song?
Well, whenever I was in Wisconsin hanging out, because my sister had done like a music school there that Skillet, some of their family had started, and my sister she plays piano and she sings, and I was visiting her, and I went and visited Corey, and she was working on a song, and she said, "Hey, can you put some lyrics to this, or can you come sing these words and put a melody?" I was about to leave to go to the airport, and I said, "Sure." And so I did that. That feels like forever. And it worked out so well. Like in 5 minutes, we laid down this song, and it was really just powerful. So we said, we should do it again. And so when I came back the next time, she had the idea for Impossible. It was a lot more pop when I first got a hold of it. When she started playing it, it just sounded really poppy. But the message was so uplifting and really good, that she actually had the word impossible, I think, for the chorus. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I've been thinking about lately, just how daily, every day, there's something to see. There's some miracle that we can pay attention to. Even just the fact that we have another day is a gift, and we're not guaranteed that, and that was a really loud message to me, when I had been going through what I've been going through. I had my first son, and when he was younger, he struggled with asthma, and we had a couple scares with him, surviving that.
Right.
And then when I had my second son, he came out and he wasn't breathing, and I was thinking, they revived him, but just the fact that every morning is a gift, whether it's you're still alive or the people around you are, and the fact that we're alive against so many odds, the possibilities are like crazy. I don't know. I just feel like my life is so impossible, and yet I'm still living it every day. Crazy.
And you just released the video for Rot, which wouldn't seem like there would be a message of hope in there, but clearly there is. Tell us about the song and the powerful message behind that one.
Well, I think there's a lot of art out there that is just art for art's sake, and it's in the name of beauty, or humor, or just any kind of artistic expression. We just celebrate things that are totally worthless eternally, and even that are destructive to our soul. And so when I wrote Rot, I had this thought about how often, like my heart is to put something out there that will help people grow in their soul, to pay attention to the fact that life isn't just surface and then that's it. There's stuff behind, there's depth to our purpose and our interactions, and we have a ripple effect, and we actually have choices we could make. And a lot of people feel trapped, like this is all there is to life and there's nothing I can do about it, and I can't get out of this, I'm trapped. And the thing that I was learning at the time when I was writing the lyrics of that is that I used to think that love would trap you, and that's what life is about. It's about this romance and falling in love, and then you trap each other and whatever. But what I learned, and this is what I wrote about in my book that I just released, is just this whole process of changing that understanding, is that love actually honors your freedom, and you do have the right. You can make choices and change your life, and there's ways to do that. And I didn't realize I had choices sometimes, to get out of the cycle that I was in, or I didn't realize that. I just thought I was trapped, and I didn't see any way out. And so Rot actually talks a lot about that, about learning to see what true beauty is, what true love is, and how to make choices to get out of that feeling of being trapped,
Which song on the record was the most difficult for you to complete, either personally, from an emotional or personal side, or just in terms of getting it to come together the way you wanted it to sonically?
I think Impossible was really one of those songs, because when it, like I said, when Corey first wrote the melody on the piano, it sounded like, it just felt like it was really important, but at the same time, I couldn't wrap my heart around it. I was like, I don't know about this sonically, how to sing this with my heart, like genuinely. And so we kept working with it, and Josh and I we just played around with it in the studio with my drummer Tom and my bass player Ben. Tom Gaskin and Ben Hall are the guys who play for us the most, and they're like family to us, and they're just amazing musicians. So we were just playing around in the studio, and we figured out a way to make it really heavy compared to what it was. And that made me so happy, so it worked out.
The second book, The Mystery, Finding Love in a World of Broken Lovers, getting ready to come out next month, I believe. What can you tell us about your second book?
Well, I was married when I was 19, and I was divorced when I was 21. And my first book was about my journey through depression and suicide and finding faith as an atheist who hated Christians and hated God and had an encounter with God, and it saved my life. And then I think the second thing that derails us and puts us is how we respond to romance and relationships. I think that can be really great or really destructive, and for me it was destructive. So I wrote about that. I think that we're in a culture where we just celebrate destructive romance so often that I remember back when Twilight was really popular, and a record label was asking me about whether I wanted to write a song for the movie and something like that. And I read some of the books, and I think I got to the end of the second book, and I was like, I don't think this message is healthy at all. I don't like it at all. I can see why they liked it, but this girl wants to commit suicide because she can't be with this guy, and she has no idea who she is without him, and she wants to die. And the only reason she gives for not dying and not killing herself is because it would hurt her parents. And I thought about all the fans that Flyleaf had, where they just didn't have that connection with their parents, and how they would, but they're obviously looking for some romance story, and how they're just painting this picture of like, this is true love, that, to want to die if you're not with them. And I just thought, that's not healthy. Right. And I don't like that, because I went through that. And in this book, I tell about how I was suicidal another time because of a relationship, and how I walked through that and became more emotionally healthy and lived through that. And so I hope it helps somebody figure out their own self-worth and how to trust it again, and that there's life past those kind of things. Right. It's really worth it to push through and have hope for a better future.
I think that's especially important for women in our society. Me professionally, aside from doing the music stuff, the last 6 years I've spent as a counselor in prisons, and I noticed when I worked in the men's prison that all these guys were there because of the choices they made, but they were all in these ugly codependent relationships. And then I moved over to the women's prison, and I discovered most of them were there because of these ugly codependent relationships they had with these men, and everything tied together with all of that. And I see it daily now as a probation officer, all these horrible mistakes and all these codependent relationships and what it creates.
Yeah. Wow. I heard that word codependent several times before I actually ever knew what it was. And I just, even when people would say it, it just go over my head. I'm like, I don't know what that means. But this whole journey writing this book, I read so many books about codependency. I'm like, what is this? We need to figure this out. It's awful. It's like stealing so much from our love life and stealing so much from our life in general. Crazy.
Absolutely. We give so much of ourselves away in the hopes of getting something in return, and we make our lives dependent upon getting that in return.
Yes.
All right, so you guys are on the tour bus right now, heading through Texas. You're in Texas all weekend. What's on tap after that for Lacey Sturm and the band?
Well, I think we're going to take a break, which I'm so thankful for because, we are not on a major record label. We started a label with our management, and we did that because we wanted to be able to gauge our own priorities in health, emotional, relational, spiritual health, because that really wasn't a priority in Flyleaf. Not for anybody's fault. The machine sort of presses you along, and you don't realize you're suffering. So on this one, we actually have the ability to say, we need a break, time out. And so I think we're going to take a little break, but at the same time, it's good because the book's going to come out, and I'll probably do some fly dates here and there to promote the book, and that'll be easy on the weekends and stuff like that. And my husband and I are, you know, like I said, all those challenges from working together, we're going to try to work through some communication things we need to. And I'm thankful, and, you know, I'm so excited to be home for a little while. But after that, you know, January, we're going to start back up again and keep going.
Awesome, Lacey. Thank you so much for taking the time. Be safe on the road. The new album is fantastic. I'm looking forward to the book, and I'm glad we finally got a chance to connect.
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear about what you do. That's so cool. I think that's really cool that you work with people who need to hear their self-worth. That's just so cool. And you're also in the arts. It's cool because you're a great influencer, you know, to have wisdom and be able to just, I don't know, be an influencer. That's cool.
You know, it was funny. I was telling somebody just the other day, when I was growing up, I wanted to be two things. I wanted to be involved in law enforcement, and I wanted to be a rock star. Here I am at 52, and I'm a parole officer, and I interview rock stars, and I write about reviews and music. So peripherally, I'm doing the two things that I always wanted to do. So it worked out. Impossible came true. So.
Awesome. Thank you. It was nice talking to you. It was a great interview.
You too. Take care.